Thank you, appreciate that. We'll spend a little bit of time talking about the forest sector. I want to thank contributing author Stuart West with the Division of Forestry and others that provide data for this, U.S. Forest Service, Kentucky Forest Industry Association, and a host of others as well. We'll start with the big picture, move into commodities and a little prediction as we go through this. Big picture, we've got an estimate of $3.3 billion in contributions from the forest sector in 2018. All the subsectors there, and I apologize for that slide being scrambled, but the different subsectors that go into that are basically flat with the exception of primary wood manufacturing. That's sawmilling. We predict it to be down. If you look at the overall hardwood sawlog production, and this is a trend line from our high in 1999, you see there was a reduction, of course, in the 2000s. You see the effect of the recession, and you see we've been on a slow increase in sawlog production since then. We do predict, however, in 2018, the first downturn we've seen. That is largely, quite probably, due to weather. Rain, moisture, good for growing, bad for logging. And that's still going on right now. We mentioned housing markets, which does affect the forestry sector, not so much the 2x4s here in Kentucky, but certainly the flooring, the cabinets, furniture, that kind of thing, and trim. We've seen a decrease here in the last part of the year in housing, and so that may very well affect some markets for us as we move through. Overall, if you look at this map, all these dots are the different forest industries, locations, over 700 of them. This indicates this $13.3 billion is distributed across the state, and that's important for many rural communities. The shading there is the number of loggers in the state, and those are holding basically stable. So let's look at some commodities. One thing we had bad happen a couple years ago in 2016, we had an idling of the pulp and paper facility at Wycliffe. And what that did was that affected timber prices basically from Elizabethtown west, a reduction in $40 to $60 per acre because you weren't removing pulpwood from those sites, moving into that pulp and paper plant. That has been sold. This year it should reopen in 2019, which is going to add jobs, all those kind of things, but we are unsure about the amount of pulpwood that's actually going to move into that facility. For example, how much recycled material are they going to use? How much chips are they going to use versus roundwood or pulpwood coming in from landowners? We don't know that. So that the situation out there remains we remain unsure about it. As we look at delivered log prices, these are saw logs that are used for lumber production, which a lot of our sawlog volume goes into that. These are different trend lines for different species. Black walnut at the top. We've had good markets for black walnut. White oak is an exit on an upward trend. This is data for high-end or high-valued logs for those different species. We've seen ash, the old pop, red oak all going up. Now this data is through the second quarter of this year, and there has been significant activity since then that we don't have data for. We know it's there. Ash, we've lost red oak, we're losing ash. White oak's come down a little bit, and so we're going to have, it'll be a different picture next year once we get all the data in this. As I mentioned, that data, those trend lines for the highest quality logs, you also have medium and low quality logs. We have a lot of volume that goes into low quality logs, for example, for a cross tie, okay, for railroad tie. So if we look at, and there's a big differential in the pricing between high, medium, and low. I put the white oak data up here. We've got a high-end log averaging statewide at $1,100 per thousand. On the low end, it's $315. So that's a big price differential. So what happens here, we've lost a little bit of the value on the high end, and the numbers in blue there represent some of the big increases we've seen. And you notice on the low end, for low-grade products, we've actually seen some increase. The problem there is they're a low-grade product. One of those is railway tie logs, and so every tree, somewhere in that tree stem, you can pull a tie log out of it. So that means every acre, every woodland owner, every farmer that's got woodlands has lots of tie logs out there, and we produce a lot of those in Kentucky. Look how noisy it was in 2016, 2017. We had soft spots, highs and lows of jumping all over the place. We have seen an increase in that through the first 2 quarters of Kentucky in the pricing for tie logs, and we predict that to continue. Okay? The cross tie market had soft spots. We were actually predicting it flat There was something that happened. There's a lot of major road carriers are having to replace ties right now at a significant amount domestically, and that has buoyed our market, and that's going to create increase. We do export tie logs, and all the trade issues we got going on is going to affect that. Certainly, the demand for tie logs is going to be up, and that's a good thing because we'll benefit from that. Barrel production, whiskey production is on the upswing, as everybody realizes. You got to have water, you got to have grain, you got to have wood to make that work. So that puts a demand on what we call stave logs. Staves, a vertical piece in a barrel. That puts demand on the stave logs. We see the upward trending in price from 08 until the second quarter of 18. And if I could borrow a Todd slide, it would say highest price ever on it. Okay, so that's going up, and that's going to keep going up. Okay, so upward trend is going to continue. It's a seller's market. Worldwide whiskey demand, no matter how you spell it, is up. The distilling industry is expanding. Everybody knows that. You look at the rack houses that are going up, and that's full of barrels. Now, the tariffs are there, those kind of things, trade issues that can affect some of that and that kind of thing. But even given all that, the worldwide demand overall is going to overcome some of those trade issues. We're going to have an increase. We're going to have a new cooperage be developed, a place where you're making barrels. That's going to happen in Moorhead. Independent Staves putting that in, so we see an increase overall in the demand for white oak. So if we look at overall our exports from Kentucky, wood exports from Kentucky, this is data in 2018 through September. Normally we've been able to estimate that pretty accurately, what's going to happen at the end of the year, and with trade situations the way they are now, no way. Okay, so things are noisy. We are up compared to this point last year, but since September, there's no telling what's liable to happen at this point. So it may be down, it may be up. I just don't know. Okay. We don't have the categories up here, which is a shame. But the blue, I don't know why they didn't transfer over. But the blue is so these are exports by different commodities. The blue is barrels. Okay. So this is white oak barrels, and the next largest category is oak lumber, and a lot of that is white oak. Okay. So 2018-19 export trends, we had a really good demand for ash, which is nice because many of you know we're losing ash. We've got an emerald ash borer killing ash like crazy. We're losing about 100 million a year. The commissioner's been out on sites looking at ash trees dying throughout the state. We've been in a really good situation. We've had good ash demand, a lot of it driven from export that has kept that price up, and that allows landowners to be able to salvage that, right? Well, we're losing that, and that price, it's dropping. So that opportunity may have gone away with it, even though we've got dead ash trees out in the woods that need to be out of here. So Asian demand for oak lumber remains strong. However, you've got trade issues, the overall Chinese economy, all those kind of things going on. We think barrel export and all that's going to remain strong regardless. Okay. Real quick, landowner impacts. We adjusted gate receipts for stumpage is right at 363 million. If you add that, if we could add that to the gate receipts slides we looked at earlier, you'd be over your 6 billion. Okay, net stumpage value per acre we're predicting at about $1,200. So that's a net. And you know that we keep a lot of the value added here in Kentucky. So we process a lot of this locally. Okay, every acre of most of it's family-owned farmland. We have about 100,000 woodland owners in the state. 50% of the farms have viable woodland ownerships on they use for timber. And so every acre harvested timber yields us in the state about $31,500 contribution to the economy through that value add. That's pretty significant. Okay. In summary, overall timber market. So weather has limited logging, and we've had a problem with that, and so do right now. Log inventories at sawmills right now, you're supposed to go by a sawmill and it's going to be full of logs going into what we know is going to be always a wet winter, January, February, March, and a lot of those inventories are really low right now. If you're a landowner that has accessible timber that can be logged in the winter, you've got an opportunity right now because inventories are low. Okay. So timber market should be pretty stable. We've got an increased demand for some speed. White oak demand will be good. Tie market's going to be there. Logging's going to remain fragile. It's hard to be in logging right now. A lot of dollars involved in putting that equipment on the ground, and a lot of stress in that sector. And the pulpwood situation out in Western Kentucky is still a big unknown. We're trying to get data from, and trying to get information from that company as best we can, but we still can't predict what's going to happen there. Thank you.